Blog Talk Radio.
They say that a win is a win is a win. Well, has that ever been more the case than what the Miami Hurricanes had to be thinking as they walked out of Georgia Tech last Saturday? Talk about what the doctor ordered. Just a win, just a happy afternoon for a football team that was beaten down after losing to its arch rival a week earlier and simply needed to experience success no matter what form it took, no matter what it looked like. These are different times at Miami right now, and the coaching staff put together a game plan last weekend that was designed to simply get a fifth victory on the ledger and get to the airport. Okay, they very badly would like to have a chance for a winning record this year and avoid the stain, a permanent stain of losing. We saw the starting debut of Ja'Cory Brown the other day, and he handled a tight Josh Gaddis game plan to absolute perfection. He was poised. The Canes were clean. They got in and out of plays efficiently. They didn't turn the ball over. Ja'Cory was not asked to do too much. And on this day, it was all fine. In a similar situation with young quarterbacks, Georgia Tech passers threw 4 interceptions. Cam Kinchins had 3 of those, and he now leads the nation with 6 thefts of throws this season. But this week, the challenge is different as the Canes travel to Clemson, and that's going to provide a little bit of a dilemma for coaches Cristobal, Gaddis, and everyone else. And there's an extreme dilemma on how to approach this game offensively, and it's something that we're going to talk about tonight. If Tyler Van Dyke can play, there's the issue of how healthy he is, how much you could freewheel with Tyler, how tender is that shoulder still. Things did not look very good against Florida State. If it's Ja'Cory Brown, how much do you expand the playbook on this go-round? He handled what you gave him last week extremely well, but it was very limited. Okay, there were only 2 passes the entire game down the football field. Everything was horizontal, designed to just be safe, don't take a chance on turning the ball over, and just keep moving the chains, score enough points to get out of there, leave the game in the hands of the defense against a Georgia Tech team that, quite frankly, was pretty horrible. Okay, and that worked great. I don't know that that's going to work against Clemson this week, and whether Van Dyke starts or it's Brown again, Miami is likely going to need more offense to be competitive against the elite team of the ACC. So we'll start there tonight, and we'll venture onward to more as we begin a new edition of CaneSport Live. Hello again, everybody. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com. We welcome you once again to CaneSport Live. As always, it's your show. It'll be driven by your participation. We want to hear from a lot of callers tonight. Don't be shy. The call-in number is 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you would like to come on the show. We have plenty of phone lines, plenty of room for everybody to participate. Really want to hear a lot of your opinions this evening. We asked the subscribers at CaneSport.com for topics and questions that they would like to hear discussed on tonight's show, and we'll get to them during the course of the evening. So there's so much going on tonight, and I'm not talking about a bomb that landed in Poland or Donald Trump's announcement at 9 p.m. that presumably is going to be that he's running for president again. No, I'm talking about recruiting and all the different crazy things that are going on. And I spent a large segment of my day today working on a story that's going to be on our website tomorrow morning about these recruiting wars that are taking place between the Miami Hurricanes and the Florida Gators. And it's absolutely fascinating. It really is. And, you know, you go back to June when quarterback Jaden Rashada committed to Miami over Florida. And there was a lot of scuttlebutt that he really wanted to go to Florida then. And Florida did not have its act together from an NIL standpoint. Well, obviously, since June, Florida's worked pretty hard at that. They've raised an enormous amount of money for their collective, and they are now like just absolutely declaring mortal combat on pretty much every recruit that Miami's recruiting in the state of Florida. I mean, it's beyond anything we've ever seen before. These are just head-to-head, knockdown, drag-out battles that, quite frankly, the recruits are taking advantage of. You know, they've got these two football powerhouses trying to knock each other out. And when it's going to come to things like NIL deals and things like that, subsequent to commitments and stuff, these kids have the control, man. They have the power right now, and we are seeing them wield it, okay? And never was that more evident than this past weekend when Friday night around midnight we saw Jaden Rashada decommit. And maybe shouldn't have been surprised, but, you know, he wasn't very engaged with Miami these past 6 months, other than the fact that he did have a high school NIL deal with LifeWallet. But for whatever reason, you know, whether it was that he wanted to play in the SEC, that he saw that the Gator Collective had now gotten its act together and felt that he could get a comparable or better NIL deal from Florida than Miami, Jaden Rashada pulled the plug on his Miami commitment and immediately flipped to Florida. And that just set the stage for the craziest of weekends, because now Florida is all empowered, okay? And they're feeling pretty good about what they can get done in recruiting. And they, one by one, start going after all of the Miami commits. They start with Tommy Kinsler, offensive line commit, and they had been working back channels to his mom, going around his dad, and it was looking, they were even using his little brother as bait a little bit, who's a young prospect, 2025, looking to get offers from everybody. And they were trying to make arrangements to get Tommy Kinsler to come on campus last weekend for their game against South Carolina. And it was looking like Kinsler might do that. Well, Miami staff and coaches got on the case and got a hold of the Kinsler family and had some what I'm sure were pointed conversations. And the end result of that was Tommy Kinsler was no longer going to Gainesville. They decided it was not a good idea. Score one for Cristobal and company there. So now it's for the weekend. It's Gators 1, Miami 1, okay? Then they move on to Malik Bryant, and they try to get him to come to Florida, and it's looking like that might take place. And again, Miami staff gets on the case. Some phone calls are made, some pointed conversations had, and by the end of that, Malik Bryant was no longer going to Florida. Malik Bryant was sending out a tweet, 1,000% declaring his allegiance to Miami. And Tommy Kinsler did the same thing, by the way. Score another one for the Canes on that one. Okay. Next up, Francis Maigoa, the offensive tackle from IMG. Florida sets its sights on him. Now, Miami's done a really good job recruiting Francis Maigoa, and they're in a pretty good place there. So this Gator attempt to this point hasn't really gotten anywhere, and I don't expect it to. I feel pretty certain that Francis Maigoa is going to be a Miami Hurricane. So that one was warded off, a little easier than the other two, but now score another one for the Hurricanes, okay? Here, the next one I'm going to bring up, you got to score for the Gators, okay? Samson Okinola, one of the top offensive tackles, maybe the top one in the country. Looks like an NFL first-round draft pick right now, just as unbelievable of a high school prospect as you will ever see. For many months, Miami has been presumed to be the leader to get Samson Okinola. And for whatever reason, he's yet to pull the trigger on a commitment, but Miami has still been believed to be his leader. And what happens on Tuesday? Guess who shows up on Florida's campus out of nowhere? Samson Okinola for an unofficial 2-day visit to the Gators. That's got to be the Gator Collective doing a good job saying, hey man, like, you know, we can do as good. We'll do as good for you as Miami will do for you down the road. You need to come to Gainesville and see what we're about. Well, they got him to come, and he is there now as we do this show tonight. So you got to give a point to the Gators there, whether they end up getting them or not, just for getting them on campus. So Miami still remains in a good place. They've been able to ward off most of this all fronts assault by Florida. But this is just the preliminary to what we are going to be seeing the entire month of December in recruiting. And it's going to be just absolutely insane. So all of that is on the table tonight as we embark on CaneSport Live. So let's get out to your calls. And like I said, we want to hear from a lot of guys tonight. The number's 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. And we are going to begin tonight in the 706. You are live on CaneSport Live. How you doing this evening?
Hey, Gary, this is Sebastian. I've never been number 1. I don't even know how that happened.
Haha. Well, congratulations.
Hey, Gary, you're absolutely right. I think it's just going to be the wild, wild west. I believe at the end of the day, who wants to be a Miami Hurricane will be a Miami Hurricane, because I think that because with NIL and everything that's coming your way, I think you can get that anywhere. Well, and I think there's a couple of schools where you can get that from, and it just comes down to relationships and vision, and do you want to be a part of that program or not? I hope we get Samson Okoloa, but if we lose him, I don't think it's because we failed in recruiting. I just believe that, something was more enticing or more lucrative than the other, just like losing Jaden Rashada. Do you want to elaborate on how that came to fruition, how we lost Jaden Rashada, or you just want to move on from that?
No, I'm happy to talk about it. He basically hoodwinked him, quite frankly. I mean, this is a kid, okay, that commits to Miami back in June. He's got this California agent, Michael Caspino, who's like as big of a self-promoter as you'll ever see. And Caspino is throwing around all kinds of stupid numbers about what Jaden Rashada is going to be getting NIL-wise at Miami. And it just was, it was not accurate. He was overinflating the number. But what he did do was negotiate a deal with LifeWallet for a high school NIL deal. And this was kind of unprecedented, quite frankly, because there aren't many states that allow it. But California was one of the leaders in that regard and passed legislation allowing high school kids to have NIL deals. And so LifeWallet did an NIL deal with Jaden Rashada that was intended to be like a bridge deal to just start establishing the relationship. Part of the deal was that Jaden Rashada was to come to Miami and spend probably a day or whatever filming a commercial, at least one, and marketing materials and things like that LifeWallet could use to promote his name, image, and likeness. And he started getting monthly checks from LifeWallet and John Ruiz. And my knowledge of it was that it was a short-term deal. I'm guessing to cover through December, when presumably he would have come to Miami in January, and he would have had to do a new deal. It either extend the current one or negotiate an entirely new deal upon his arrival in Miami. And for all these months, he played along, collected the checks. And then when it came time, Miami FSU weekend was when he was supposed to come to town and do his shoot with LifeWallet. He calls in sick, calls up and says he's sick, doesn't show up for the shoot, doesn't show up for Miami FSU game, and then a week later decommits from the Hurricanes and commits to Florida. Well, obviously this was in the works for a while, okay? And the whole thing was orchestrated by Florida, And, listen, in this case, I guess you'll say Life Wallet and Miami kind of got duped a little bit. And there's not really a whole lot you can do about it. I mean, does John Ruiz have grounds for a lawsuit to collect his money? He might, but I don't think you're going to see him go down that route. And I think it's just going to be a lesson learned, and take it like a big boy, so to speak. And Florida wins, because I think Miami's done there. There is no chance, I don't think, that Miami will even talk to Jaden Rashada ever again after he pulled this crap. And I'll tell you something else. Like, me personally, I look at this stuff differently. I think that Jaden Rashada did Miami a favor, because if this is what you're dealing with, Sebastian, what's going to happen in the fourth quarter of the Florida State game in 2024 when Jaden Rashada is being counted on, and this is the character that you're dealing with, and it crosses over, man. I'm telling you, character crosses over in many different ways, and I thought the whole thing stunk. Obviously, I feel bad for Miami on it, so my opinions are going to be a little bit more pronounced and graphic on it, but I thought it's dirty pool, man. I don't like people that do businesses like that. You don't bait and switch people. You don't change deals and things like that. A bunch of nonsense. And but they're going to have to obviously live with it. And that's the best I can tell you on that front.
No, I appreciate you elaborating. I come from the philosophy, everything you lose is not a loss. I believe it catches up to you eventually. I think the kids that Mario's recruiting, the ones that stay in this class, that exhibit character, they seem to pan out over the long term as far as what type of kid you're getting. Talent gets you on the stage, but character is what keeps you there. So, we will learn our lesson. I'm not as concerned, because I just think from what I've seen from the recruiting standpoint, it looks like they're on point. Let's talk about our current team. Switching the subject, I thought the coaching staff, as you started at the beginning of the show, did a good job preparing these kids after a tough Florida State week to win. I mean, just the way that they call the game. I look at body language. I look at engagement. I watch the football game differently. I look at the way the coaches call a timeout and how they engage with the kids on the field. And if you go back and you watch that game, I just feel like the energy was just right amongst the whole entire team. I mean, these guys made plays. I mean, you can say Georgia Tech's a horrible team, but these guys made plays. That first interception from Cam Kitchen, that's a play. It's not a horrible Georgia Tech team. That's a play. Even the second interception, the interception that Tyreek made, that's a play. That's not a horrible – I mean, Georgia Tech's not a good football team, but I'm just saying they made plays. So as I see us going into this Clemson game, I just think we just go up there with a good attitude, just try to have fun. I mean, it's not like Clemson has not lost to an unranked team at home before, and I don't think Clemson is all that. I just think we just need to show up and play well. What's the health of the team? Can you talk to me about Rivers? And I hear Chaney's healthy, is Parrish going to play? I know Knighton looks pretty good. I want to know the status of how healthy we are as a team, and can you confirm whether or not Keyshawn Smith is on the team or not on the team anymore?
Keyshawn is not on the team. It was handled very quietly, and he was allowed to drift off, and I think you're going to see him in the portal on December the 5th, and it just was not going very well with him, and he wasn't doing a whole heck of a lot this year, and they clearly got down on him. His mom going on Twitter and ripping Gaddis, I'm sure didn't help very much. And the whole thing went south this year. And I think you're going to see Keyshawn go into the portal December 5th unless something changes. So that's where that stands. Now, in terms of injuries, Mario talked a little bit about that to us yesterday. And he was encouraging in that regard. He said that he thought that Jalen Rivers could potentially return this week. What else did he say? He said, Chaney could play. He talked about Elijah Roberts and Jared Harrison Hunt possibly returning this week. And then, of course, there's Tyler Van Dyke. And Mario suggested that we might see Tyler Van Dyke, but we have not gotten anything final and definitive on that. And we're going to be talking to Mario again in the morning, and hopefully we'll get some clarity. You know, he might decide that he wants to keep that a secret right up until kickoff.
What about Leonard Taylor?
Leonard Taylor was in a boot. He was in a boot, and I got to think he's kind of doubtful. But you know, if anybody can play in this game, they will. It's just when you're walking in a boot, it's hard to imagine coming back that quickly. I mean, guys have done it before, and he certainly could play, but he would probably be the longest shot of those defensive tackles that I mentioned. But we should hopefully know more tomorrow.
Okay. I'm excited about the last game of the season, knowing it's going to be at night. I hope they break out the Miami Lights uniform. I think that's going to be a good atmosphere. We got some seniors that's getting ready to graduate, so I hope it's a good game. I hope we can win because of the guarantee that we make it to a bowl. I think going to a bowl game is still worth it. You got a lot of players that can play. Two things I want to talk about. Can you talk about a little bit about the Kamari Rogers situation? Is that a done deal? Number one, and number two, talk to me about in relation to recruiting. Are you optimistic that there's probably some surprises in relation to some top prospect that we're still in on that you think we have a good shot at getting? And if you can, talk to me about who those individuals could possibly be. Just keep me on hold.
Look, I don't have my list in front of me. I'll try to get it here. If I don't have it right this minute during your call, I'll get back to it in a few minutes. But I mean, Okinola is without question one you got to keep an eye on. Running backs, I would keep an eye on Chris Johnson. I would keep an eye on Mark Fletcher for sure. I think they're, other than Okinola, I think they're pretty much done at offensive line. I think they're pretty much done at tight end. I still think that there's going to be some receivers that are going to emerge here in the month of December. I would keep an eye just, for some new names there, potentially. Trying to think, I'm going off the top of my head here. Like I said, I don't have the list in front of me, but I will.
I'm thinking about linebacker, cornerback.
Yeah, they're still looking at cornerbacks. They're looking at those two kids that are committed to Florida, for sure. That visited during the season. You give me 1 second. I'll have it open in front of me here, and I'll be able to talk more in more detail about this stuff. But yeah, there's the two kids at Florida, the two cornerbacks at Florida that are. There's the Dalen Austin kid out in California. He's an LSU commit. I think that he's going to be a December issue that they will try to make a run at corner in addition to the guys up at Florida. Stanquan Clark, the linebacker from Miami Central, is certainly a guy to keep an eye on. Miami's trying to get him. Let me see. Defensive lineman. I would. Samuel Mpemba. I don't think he put out a top 5 today that suggested that Miami's in the top 5. I think that's for show. I don't think Miami's really working that one that hard. Defensive line wise, Reuben Bain I think is going to be in this class. I would keep an eye on the Chamberlain Campbell kid out of St. Pete. I don't think Nicholas Harbor is a dead issue at this point. He's been talking about visiting Miami. Joshua Horton, a defensive lineman who's committed to North Carolina, is certainly in the picture. So those are the guys that I would focus on the most, the ones I just mentioned. Micah Mays is a receiver that I wouldn't forget about from Palm Beach Benjamin School. Miami's been recruiting him. But yeah, those will be the ones. I think we've pretty much named the main ones here that are the focus. And I do think there'll be some new names. I mean, I think there's going to be some kids that are committed to other schools that they're going to go after and try to, convince to reopen their recruitment. Who those are, I don't know yet. We'll see as it gets closer. And then I think that there's going to be a huge focus on the transfer portal once again. And I'm expecting 25, 30 departures off of this team. There've only been a couple so far, but there is going to be a mass exodus and purging
What
here.
What about that Oregon running back that kind of did an unofficial visit? I've been seeing some chatter about that. Do you know about that speed Oregon running back?
Yeah, I think he wants to come here. I think he's trying to get them to take him. I don't know if he'll make the cut or not yet. It might depend on, do they get Mark Fletcher? Do they get Chris Johnson? I don't have a feel just yet for whether they are going to take him. What I heard on that one was that he was more recruiting Miami than Miami recruiting him. So we'll see. But he did come in. So we'll just have to see what happens there.
All right, good update, Gary. Keep me on hold, man. Great show. Will we be bowl eligible? That's all I want to know from you. Do you think we're going to be bowl eligible?
I'll tell you what, man. Like, I don't feel, obviously. I mean, does anybody feel good about this Clemson game this weekend? It's hard to sit here and think Miami's going to go to Clemson and pull an upset. I mean, we've seen crazy stuff like that before in the history of the program, but an upset victory at Clemson this weekend, the way this season has gone, the way the Florida State game went, is kind of hard to imagine. So it's going to all come down to the Pitt game, and I don't know if you saw the score, but Pitt beat Virginia by 30-something points the other day, and you know what happened when Miami played Virginia. So if you just do score comparisons there, you're like, oh no, the thought of a 5-7 season is not good, obviously. But I think that's obviously what it's going to come down to, is the Miami Pitt game and how much they care about going to a bowl game. Is Tyler Van Dyke healthy? How much of an offense can they put together for that game? And can they score points? And they have not been scoring points, obviously, for several weeks. And last week was a very watered-down game plan against a real bad team, and they eked out a couple touchdowns, and it was far and away enough to win because of the way the defense played. I don't see that working these last 2 weeks. I think they're going to have to do more.
I'll say this: a 5-7 record is not bad. A 5-7 record is not bad if it forces you to accelerate your rebuild. Butch Davis did it, and I'm telling you, what we got out of a 5-7 record from Butch Davis really set the programs to sites that we want to see. So I hate it, but if it means that you're going to get 25 kids off your program that's really not part of your vision, and you're going to bring in 30, 35, close to 40 new kids, that's what I'll take. I'll take that for a 5-7 record. What I don't want is a 5-7 record and you try to bring all those kids back thinking you're going to have something different. It's insanity. Doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. So keep it on hold. Good show. I don't want to monopolize the time, but I appreciate your insight on all this.
All right, Sebastian, and I don't think you're going to have to worry about it. I don't think you're going to have to worry about a roster purge and changes. That is going to happen. Thanks for getting us started off tonight. We'll talk to you next time. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's go out now to the 941. You're live on CaneSport Live. How you doing tonight?
Hi, Gary. Meister Kane.
Meister Kane. I've been waiting for you to call in again. And how'd everything go for you? You in good shape?
Yeah, I'm okay. Then, I'm getting still evaluated on my condition here. And, there's going to have a stent or a plug put in between the two chambers. But, that's what's going to happen, obviously. We just don't know when. Probably sometime within the next year, like February, March maybe. But I'll still be coming to the Pitt game. So, my heart's not going to collapse is what the doctor said. So I should be all right in regards to that.
That's good to hear, man.
Yeah. so I'm still plugging away. Anyway, this Jaden Rashada thing, okay? What's the deal? Are we going to pursue another quarterback through the transfer portal, or are they going to recruit another quarterback to take his place, or are we just going to go with the one with Emory Williams there? Your thoughts on that?
It's interesting, man. The first issue is Tyler Van Dyke going to come back? Okay, and that they're working on that right now. I'm expecting. I would not have said this, but I've heard fairly favorable things that Tyler Van Dyke has given indications to the coaches that he does want to come back to Miami. Now, there's been scuttlebutt that he would not come back if Josh Gaddis was the offensive coordinator. That's another issue.
Really?
That's going to have to be determined. Is that accurate? I don't really know that to this point. And if it is accurate, is there going to be an offensive coordinator change? So there's a lot of drama here, okay? Jake Garcia is another issue, okay? He can't feel real good about his Miami future. He's been passed over now by Jakari, and Jakari got the start last week. And
right, yep.
I think Jake could have been a third down quarterback for the rest of the year, or at least for these games that Jakari is playing. He is the better option on third down when you want to throw the ball down the field. And, in terms of his mastery of the offense and things like that, his mastery of the offense isn't great. I think we saw that in the games that he played and the way he turned the ball over and how slow he was making reads and decisions. But it still would have given them more options on third down. But that went so poorly against Florida State that I think that it was mutually scrapped for this last game at Georgia Tech, and it was the Jakari show the entire way. If Tyler can't play, I expect it to be the same at Clemson. I think, they'll ride with it and probably try to do a similar type offense and maybe take a couple more chances down the field. But any way you slice it and dice it, nothing going on spells well for Jake Garcia. So I'm going to assume Jake Garcia is going to the portal. All right. Obviously, Jakari is going to be here after this. I mean, after getting to play here this year, and he knows he's got a lot of work left to do, which he does, but he's going to be here for next year. And you got to hope you can hold on to Emory Williams now. Okay. I'm a little concerned, though, and I'm going to tell you why. Because Emory Williams has not been saying – he has not been saying a lot lately. And and for us, that's usually kind of weird. Okay, it usually means something's up. And, Jaden Rashada was in that category. He ended up decommitting. Malik Bryant was in that category. And I'm sure you've been seeing all the drama with Malik Bryant. And
yep.
When somebody is doesn't really want to talk and is kind of keeping to themselves, it usually means something is up to us in our business. So our radar is up with Emory. Hopefully he sticks. He's now very important to the class. Now, if everything falls apart, what happens? Okay. Well, I think you start looking at committed guys and you take some shots there and see if you can get some of them to come take visits and consider flipping. That's one strategy. And I think you absolutely look into the transfer portal for a quarterback. Yes. But now, if Van Dyke is back, it's going to be hard to go in the portal and get a quarterback. So this is a little bit of a mess. In all honesty, this is a little bit of a mess right now because of the way this is played out. But I'm sure they're working on solutions inside the building, and they will come up with something.
That's good. Well, we hope so. So, anyway, you said that there's going to be 25 guys leaving.
That's my projection. Matt Shodell says 30. He thinks 30.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm guessing about 25.
Well, there's some players that don't belong there, Gary, obviously. And we gotta find the ones that fit the offense and the defensive scheme of the way, the coaches set up the system, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I mean, it's kind of it's sad. This is not a happy thing to watch, but I mean, if we're honest, this needs to happen. They need a complete roster reboot. You just can't keep going year after year like this, and you're just gonna have to bite the bullet for a year. Some guys are gonna leave on their own. Some guys are gonna have to be asked to leave. It's not gonna be pretty, but it's a necessary evil right now.
Well, in my opinion, Gary, the whole team needs a complete overhaul.
Yeah,
Seriously.
That's what we're saying. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Gary, I guess that's going to be it for now because I'm doing some shopping and the store's going to close in a few minutes. So let some other callers get on the line. And thanks for having me on the show, all right? So.
All right, Mikester. Glad to hear you're feeling better and doing well, and thanks for being part of it.
All right, you too, Gary. Talk to you later.
All right, Mikester Kane. All right, the number is 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's hear from a lot of guys tonight. Let's get some first-time callers on. I see you guys sitting there in the phone bank that you haven't hit the 1 on your keypad and you're being bashful. Would like to see more guys on the show tonight, hear what your opinions are. Let's go next to the 727. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, Gary. It's Jake from St. Pete. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, Jake? How you doing this week?
Oh, doing all right. What was I going to say? We had to put our dog down on Friday, so that was pretty yeah, it was a rough Saturday. At least it was a victory. The radio once again makes it so much more enjoyable. But I asked you on Sunday. I said, why did it take them 10 games to put together a game plan and execute it? And I know the players. Look, Duke. That was a player thing. Garcia turns the ball over 5 times, but we've just watched time and time again. This team just come out flat. This team come out with no plan, with no energy, with no. They look like a deer in headlights. The staff and the players as well. How come it took 10 weeks especially for Gaddis? Like, it took him 10 weeks to put together a actual game plan with the actual players that he has.
Jake, I think you got to look at what that game plan was. I mean, that was not a major college offense we saw Saturday. It was so watered down, so limited.
No,
but
Gary, understood.
You weren't going to beat anybody any good doing that.
But they planned personnel they have and the opponent they were playing. You could maybe argue Texas A&M, although the offense was atrocious that day too. They couldn't score in the red zone to save their life. Why did it take 10 days to figure, or 10 weeks for them to figure out how to? Offensively, especially, because we're talking about this purge, and like I saw Gil Frierson, he's gone, and Keyshawn Smith, good riddance with the headaches he was causing and whatnot. But I was kind of a little sad to see Gil Frierson leave because I think he's been a guy who's done everything asked of him and done it with a smile and with effort.
It's not real good, Jake. He's just not real good. He just is not real good.
That's he saw the writing on the wall. He's got maybe one more year eligibility left. He ain't going to play here. No, good for him. Good luck. I hope he finds some place where he can play and all that. But to me, I just we hear about all this player purge and fine, good riddance. There's there's probably a lot of guys on this roster who, if you're serious about winning, they're not gonna get it done. But to me, I think there should be a very big emphasis on a coaching purge as well. These coaches have been god awful this year, top to bottom, and to me, it's I don't think we're hearing a whole lot about that. And
well, you're not going to. Those are going to be private Mario decisions, and he's not going to discuss it publicly. You're not going to hear any conversation about that. And we don't know what he's going to do. We don't know what he thinks behind closed doors about these guys. We know what the fans think. I mean, the fans are booting Josh Gaddis right out the door, but we don't know what Mario thinks about that.
With this, when we left, I was at what was the last home game? I basically said to myself, I'm like, I don't know if I'm renewing my season tickets if Gaddis is coming back. And I mean, the thing is, with the players, there needs to be a purge, but this staff did about you couldn't picture a worse season, and a lot of this is on the staff. And to me, Miami's always been a passion of mine. It's becoming dangerously close to becoming a hobby. I just, I drive down from St. Petersburg for every home game. I spend thousands of dollars every year on tickets and merchandise and parking and hotels and everything to do that. And it's like this year, I have not been entertained a single time. I've left with high blood pressure and just absolute rage with how
How'd you know you had high blood
played.
pressure? How did you know you had high blood pressure? You got a blood pressure machine in the car?
No, it's when your eyes are bugging out of your head because you're so pissed off. That, you were at the Florida State.
I'm just asking. Yeah, I've been asking because there have been times I thought, man, I must have high blood pressure right now. But I never know how to figure it out, unless you have one of those pump things that you put around your arm.
You know what? I don't even want to take it because if I took that and told my doctor what it was, he'd tell you, stop watching this, run away.
Well, the ones that you buy, the ones you buy at Walgreens and CVS, they don't work anyway. Those are both.
Those are garbage anyway. But
those are garbage. Yeah. So it's like you're kind of like lost if you want to know your blood pressure.
But like the thing for me is like, so, I have tickets for, I have season tickets. I'm not going to the Pittsburgh game, and I'm going to be in Miami for that. But you know what? I turned 40 that day. I'm going to Paris the following day. I don't want to be enraged. So I'm just going to watch it. We got reservations at the surf club, and I'm going to have a nice dinner. And
there you go. That's a good spot to go do your 40th.
Is that? Have you been there?
I have not been there, but I've heard very good things.
I wasn't going to roll the dice on Joe Stone. I wanted to go there, but I'm like, you know what? I don't know. Saturday night, that's a tough pull. So we'll see. But yeah, I just like, I don't want the headache. I'm going to probably see if I can donate them to like a veteran or something, and see if somebody can go. I'd like for someone to go. It's just, like I've been there 6 times. I've been severely disappointed all 6. Even the Bethune-Cookman game, we blew them out, but you could just smell problems when we were losing in the first quarter. It's just, I love what's going on with the players, but, Mario has struggled with game day coaching, and it's been a huge issue.
Has he really, though, Jake? Jake, has he really? Like, I can think of a couple things that he'd probably want back. Couple use of timeout things, a couple decisions on whether to punt or not punt or play field position. I do think he started the year maybe a little aggressive with this particular team. But, has he really had game day issues? People say that stuff. But has he really? Like, I don't feel...
We have a who's who or a supposed who's who of coaching, and we have these horrendous game plans where it's like you can tell everyone's got us sniffed out. and yeah, I mean, personnel fine, but we went from 7-5 to 5-7 this year, maybe 6-6, and our schedule was way easier because A&M turns out to be garbage. So trade them for Bama. I'll take that every day of the week. We didn't have Michigan State. We had a powder puff non-conference schedule. Well, A&M was powder puff. They're terrible this year. They're the biggest disappointment other than us this season. And but every game we've been thoroughly manhandled in terms of game planning. And
a lot of injuries, Jake. A lot of
injuries have been an issue, but you gotta. It's football. You gotta adapt. Everyone has injuries.
But this team didn't have the depth to withstand them.
Probably not. But, I'm at the point, this season I'm washing my hands of it. I am going to renew my tickets for next year. There's some really, at least we got some compelling games at home next year. We got Clemson, we got A&M. Hey, let's, but to me, the accountability really has to be on Mario and his staff next year. Cause this player purge is going to happen. We're talking about it. He's going to have 30 new players on his team, at least. Last year he had 30 new players. So that's 68 plus out of 85. He owns 70% of this roster, and the ones that are left over aren't that bad. There's plenty of Leonard Taylors. There's not a ton, but there's 25 of them, or at least not 25 Leonard Taylors, but James Williams, Cam Kinchins. There's plenty of guys left over from Manny, where he's got 60 of his. And plus some of the good leftovers from Manny. It's on him next year to win. This has got to get improved. I'm about as diehard as you could get, but it's a matter of I don't want to spend my whole weekend pissed off, and watching this every weekend and. I'll always be a fan, and I'll always watch games. But am I going to go to the effort of driving 4 hours each way on a weekend and doing all that to watch two more losing seasons? Everyone, he doesn't need to purge the roster to win 8 games. We're in the ACC Coastal. It's a pathetic conference. That's got to improve. It may take 3 years for him to get competitive, even just to win the ACC. But 8-9 wins is just that's a very low bar. We were chasing Manny out of town from the jump, and he never had a season this bad. So
but I feel confident in saying that had he stayed, he would have.
I don't know. I never. Other than the North Carolina game and the FIU game, the North Carolina game was pretty bad. I was at that one too. That was a doozy. But so is getting smoked by Middle Tennessee. So it's and what the other thing that's a little sad this year is we aren't going to have a single marquee win. Say what you will again with. We're not winning this week. If we do, I'll eat my words, but it ain't going to happen. And you know me, I'm the guy calling up last year saying, why can't we win against Bama? But it's just reality. I hate to be such a downer. I know we won last week, but it's just I don't know, the coaching that really pissed me off because they finally game planned, and it took a coaching staff they were going against who's going to be completely purged at the end of this year to outmaneuver them, and it's that's pretty pathetic for a sum total of about $18 million a year spent on coaching. I'd call this a piss poor return. I don't know. It's I don't know. That's my take. It's I'm looking forward to seeing what Mario does in December. I think that's the one plus, and if he can hit the portal hard, there's a lot of needs. He had kind of mixed returns in the portal last year. There's some real big wins, but there's also some pretty big busts in it. I'm hoping he can bring on another 10, 15 guys that can help turn the tide here, because this status quo is, I'll stomach it one more year, but yeah, if
hang in there, Jake. Come on, man. Come to the Pittsburgh game.
No, I mean, like I said,
don't deprive you. If you're a Canes fan, why would you deprive yourself of a game day? Like, go to the game, then go to the surf club.
I've been pissed off every.
Although, wait, no. Actually, wait a minute. You'd have to go to the surf club Friday. The game's going to be 8:00 at night. So.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So that I made a reservation, and I said if it was a noon game, I'm like, you know what, I'll go. I'll do it. If it was even a 3:00 game, maybe I'd catch a half and just pop in by myself. But I'm like, you know what? I'd rather give the tickets. I'm going to give them away. They're 50-yard line. They are visitors side, but they're real nice club seats. I want to give them away to somebody who wants to take their kid or something, who can derive some joy. I
hope you find somebody good. All right, man. We'll give us a call next week.
Yep. We'll do.
What happens.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Thanks for being part of the show, man. Yep. Bye-bye. Yep. All right. 563-999-3550. 563-999-3550. You hit the number 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. We're going next to the 336. You are live on CaneSport Live. How you doing tonight?
Hey, Gary. It's Charles again, North Carolina.
Hey, what's up, man? How are you?
Not much. All right. This is the second time calling since last week.
All right.
So first thing, I'm one of Cane's one big good friends. We always talk about the games, go to games together and stuff. But so what is it?
I hope he slows down when he talks to you. When he calls this show and talks to us, he's like talking a mile a minute, man. We can't understand him.
I hear him and I always tell him, I say, you need to hold on and let them reply to some of the stuff you say, But
he just talks so fast.
Exactly.
I just sit here and laugh. Like, it's so funny.
Exactly. So my question is, what do you have, and I'm just asking a question here because it seems to me that you don't have any belief in Ja'Cory Brown. Because what I seen Saturday and what I'm hearing from other shows down there, they're kind of picking on you a little bit from the other shows I listen to.
They can pick on me all they want. They can pick on me all.
And I'm thinking,
whatever.
That guy should definitely not be a wide receiver.
The picking. Well, here's what I said. Okay, here I'm going to tell you exactly what I was watching. I'll be quick.
I heard you.
Okay, you heard me on the other show. Okay, so
yeah, but I'm just saying.
I'm watching. Now I'm looking at a quarterback situation. TVD, Jake Garcia, who had not imploded yet and was the clear number 2, Ja'Cory number 3, and then I'm looking at Jaden Rashada coming on campus in January, which I was assuming would knock Ja'Cory to 4. And I've watched Emory Williams throw a football in person on multiple occasions, and I would at that point say, based on what I was seeing from Ja'Cory at the time, and nothing has really changed, and I'll get to that in a minute, I would have said that I think that Ja'Cory going into next spring could potentially be the number 5 quarterback on this team. And I'm looking at a guy, I'm like, oh my God. Like, if you saw this kid up close, I mean, he is a physical specimen. He is athletic as hell. He is a leader. He was a leader in high school. You could just see he's got that kind of it about him, that he's a leader. And I'm sitting there watching practice day after day, and he's struggling throwing. He is struggling throwing the football like you wouldn't believe. I would not say it was. I would not say it was like Tate Martell a year or so ago. I mean, that was probably worse. But in no way, shape, or form was anybody, and this isn't just me. Like, you can take anybody who's sitting there watching practice, other media people, parents, high school coaches, whatever. There's nobody that's sitting there watching practice saying, man, like, this guy is going to be a great quarterback anytime soon. Despite what a great athlete he clearly is and what a great person that he clearly is. Yeah. And I'm watching receivers. Wait, let me finish. I'm watching receivers dropping the balls left and right all over the field. I'm saying, my God, this is a disaster. And I think, and the thought comes into my mind, man, I would love to see what Ja'Cory looked like taking some reps on the outside, because I'm thinking from an offensive coordinator standpoint, you could do a lot of things with this kid. Like you could throw him bubble screens, you could do flanker passes, you could do jet sweeps. You can bring him in and sneak him in as a wildcat quarterback and put Tyler Van Dyke on the outside. I'm thinking like there's a lot that they can do with him that might help solve some of the problems. Now, the problem is some people, it's a hot button for some people, and I understand it. It's a hot button. Yeah. And it's like I wasn't intending to offend anybody. I wasn't intending to diminish Curry. Are you kidding me? I couldn't think more highly of the kid. But that doesn't mean he can hit a net from 25 yards out, okay? And I'm watching this day after day, and I'm thinking there might be a way that he can help this team as opposed to being the third, fourth, or fifth string quarterback. And that's all it was. There was no more to it than that. It was a positive thing in my mind.
Well, my comeback to that is I don't know how much of practice you got to watch or whatnot, but to me it seems like he's made, from what I'm hearing, he's made a heck of a stride from when he first came there, from when he first got to Green Tree. He's made a heck of a stride. And my thing is this, with Van Dyke, I don't know what you've been looking at in practice, but I know what I see on game days from Van Dyke, and it ain't been good. And I know he had all the yards against Carolina, and he had all the yards, but I'm like, you look at Van Dyke against, I was at the game, the Virginia Tech game, and if Ja'Cory had been playing a couple of games under his belt, I think we could score a lot more points at Virginia Tech.
Here's what I'm going to tell you.
And I'm just saying, I'm watching the game. I'm not seeing the practice that you're seeing in practice. But but
let me just tell you, and please, like, don't anybody take this like I'm not being critical. I'm not disrespecting anybody. These are just the facts, and the facts are right in front of our eyes, okay? Without my opinion involved, without your opinion involved, the facts are right in front of our eyes, okay? When they played Florida State and they started playing him, and he has been doing better in practice. I've heard the same things for several months now, that he's making strides, he's making improvement, okay? What did the coaches do on third down when they had to throw the ball?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I get that. But what
did they do? What did they do? What did they do?
They brought in somebody else. Yeah.
They brought Jake Garcia in on third down to be the quarterback on third down.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Now that's one thing I'm going to point out. It has nothing to do with me. Okay? Last week he started, and he did great. We'll all agree on that, and we're all pulling for him to be – I want him to be the greatest quarterback in the history of Miami football. But I understand what's reality right now. Okay, last week, how many passes did they throw down the field?
19. Oh, I mean, just down the field.
No, down the field.
Yeah.
Two.
Not too many.
They threw two passes down the field, which is it's okay. They had a smart game plan. Okay, they didn't ask him. They didn't ask him to do too much. They did not set him up to fail. They set him up to succeed, and that's what coaches are supposed to do. And that's why, I don't know if you're on our CaneSport.com site. I hope you are. At halftime of that game, I made a post on the message board saying, I know nobody wants to hear this, but Josh Gaddis is doing an unbelievable job today with this game plan.
I thought he did. Yes.
For Ja'Cory. Yeah, okay, so he's not there yet as a major college quarterback, as a major college passer, okay? No. And I'm watching that in the preseason, and I'm thinking there are ways this kid can help this team this year. That's all. That's all it was.
I don't think so because I don't think Van Dyke or Garcia has the pocket presence.
Tyler Van Dyke's a very good quarterback. Tyler Van Dyke's a very good quarterback. Tyler, he's a very good quarterback. He was a victim of everything this year.
I took Van Dyke. Everybody was giving Van Dyke praise, and I like Van Dyke. Don't get me wrong, but I'm a Miami fan, and to me, you got to beat Florida State before I can, put you. And I'm not crowning Ja'Cory, even though he had a good game against that bad Georgia Tech team you said Saturday. But that bad Georgia Tech team took, who was it the week before? Was it Virginia Tech or whoever? Scored 20-some points, And I'm just like, so they can't with the backup quarterback. And I know Virginia Tech's not a good team either, but look what they did with us, And Virginia's not a very good team, but look what they did with us,
All I can
So
do
I'm
is
saying
give you an
if
honest.
James
I can only give you an honest opinion, and there's no
Okay, I got
biases. There's nothing. I understand why it's a hot button, and I get it.
Yeah.
But I wasn't
Yeah.
thinking
No,
about
I'm
any
not
of
ready
that.
I'm not ready to crown the kid. I'm not ready to crown him as the next great thing. But I'm saying if you work with him with that, I'm not expecting them to come up to Clemson this week and dethrone Clemson. I just want it to be a respectful game. If the kids, you can't tell me that the team didn't look different Saturday before game. I mean, they looked like they were ready to play. And I don't know what it was, but I've heard another caller call in, and I've watched Van Dyke's body language. And that's my only thing with him. It's like he doesn't have any. It's like, okay, if we win, we win. If we lose, we lose. It's like, there's no energy.
No, man, he's competitive. This has been a horrible year.
No, I'm not saying he's not competitive. I'm saying the body language. I'm not saying he's not competitive.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a horrible year. It's been terrible.
Yeah, but
think about what's in his head. Think about what's in his head going into the season. Think about what's in his head going into the season. He's thinking, I'm going to have a great year this year, and I'm going into the National Football League draft next spring, and I'm going to make millions of dollars. Okay, and he's got agents, he's got NIL deals, he's got all this crap going on, and then look at what happened this year. I mean, you have to, these are kids, man. Tyler Van Dyke's only a 20-year-old kid.
Well, and see, that's my point. They're kids. It's just like the Jaden Rashada guy. We're talking about him. We're wanting to throw him under the bus because he flipped to Florida. And I'm cool with it because I would like to see Emory come in. Hopefully he's fixed. Emory comes in, and Jacory and whatever. If TBD decides to leave, now Jake Garcia. Going back to Jake Garcia, you talking about how the coaches are supposed to set the players up to win. I think they set Garcia up to fail. They brought this kid in on 3rd and 12.
I agree.
20-some points, and you bring this kid in, expect him to just be.
I agree, 100%.
I'm like, what are you doing to this kid? What did you do to his confidence?
I agree, and you notice she didn't see it at Georgia Tech. They didn't do it at Georgia Tech.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, the coaches take some blame there too, because Garcia, I think, was probably a little higher rated than Van Dyke was coming in. And look what they've done to him.
The problem with Jake, I think, is having a hard time with the offense. Okay, this is a more complicated offense than what they had under Rhett Lashley, and you'll remember that Jake only played a few plays last season, and he didn't really have any experience, and I don't think he really had a handle on this offense, and I think that's why when he had to go in the game and actually do something, that it turned to crap. Like I don't think he knew what he was doing out there.
Right, but he was there for he's been there the same amount of time as Jacory as far as under the system. So how is Jacory doing better than Jake?
I think that there was a very restricted package last week, and Jacory, he wasn't asked to do all that. Okay, I think Jake's, and this is on the coaches, because if you have a guy that doesn't have a grasp of the offense, and you don't realize it until he gets in the game, that's not good, okay? Just being honest. Right. And I'm not trying to rip any individual or whatever, but that's a bad look that they were blindsided by Jake not being ready to play.
Yeah, and I give you that. But I'll go back. Now let's flip over to the defense. I really like what I think. Of course, he's going against, two backup quarterbacks at Georgia Tech. But I still think Cam Kinchins, I agree with Kane. I think he's been our best defender all year long.
No doubt.
Even with the give up of the Tennessee and the other game when he gave up the big.
The North Carolina game, he had the two busts against North Carolina. But other than that, I agree. He has been, and I thought before the year when everybody was thinking that the starters at safety were going to be Avante Williams and James Williams, I felt that back then. No, absolutely, Cam Kinchins must be in the starting lineup.
Oh,
he's the best player out there.
That kid has that it factor about him, and it's just like I think it just rubs off on other players. I think that's why everybody else is trying to play a little better now too. So, but anyway, this is my whole man and do what now?
Okay. No, I was going to say Cam Kinchins. He's got a great football IQ. He puts an incredible amount of effort into it during the week, and the biggest surprise involving him was that he made those mistakes against North Carolina because he goes to the game prepared. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you for being part of the show.
Thanks, man.
Yep. 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. And, man, I hope everybody by now just kind of understands where I was coming from on all that. You will never hear me say anything with any intent on disrespecting anybody, okay? But part of my job is to give honest football analysis. And, you know, I'm looking, like I said, at a player that, and I end up being right on this regard, and people that want to poke holes are going to criticize me for saying that, but, like, I saw a dynamic football player who could help this team a lot, but he wasn't going to get a chance to. He was going to be the third-team quarterback, and he wasn't going to get a chance to do anything. And my thought was, let's find a dang role for him. He can help a team that did not have playmakers. And I think that could have been what you're seeing him do now with the football in his hands, could have been more of the approach earlier in the year, in my opinion. But they very quickly got to a wildcat package, which we saw early in the year, and it got expanded to lining him up as a receiver on a jet sweep. Didn't throw any balls to him. And then after that got added to the package, it got to the point where he needed to play some quarterback. So obviously everything changed at that point. All right, let's go out to the 917. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, Gary, what's up? BK Hurricane.
Hey, what's up, BK? How you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Listen, the Malik Bryant kid just reconfirmed according to him, he's 1,000% committed on Twitter.
Yep. Fasten your seatbelt, man. I hope he's 1,000%, but that's a little bit of a crap show up there. Yep.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. He's saying his recruitment is closed. He's 1,000% committed to.
I know. We saw it. We never thought otherwise. Right now.
We'll
keep
an eye
on
what
that
happens.
one. Yep.
Listen, I'm seeing a lot of kids decommitting from big time schools, and they're all from Florida. You think Mario might have his hand in that?
I think I think just, when December gets here, just make sure you buckle your seatbelt every day, man. It is going to be insane in college football. Insane.
Yeah, that kid Daniel Harris just decommitted from Georgia. Big time 4-star kid.
Yeah, they're not recruiting him. Georgia dropped him. Miami's not interested in him.
Oh, okay. Well, back to Saturday and what we saw, right? I mean, granted, it was a win, and everything, but you can't beat good teams like that.
Well, that's what I've been saying. People have been going crazy on me. That's what I agree. You can't.
You can't be good. Granted, a win is a win. That's fine. But if you coach like that on Saturday, you would have pulled out a win, because that would have been the only way to win with Ja'Cory Brown. Don't pass the ball, just run it, and hopefully the defense does something. And that was the game plan. The defense did something. Cam Kitchens, 3 interceptions. The defense did something.
They could have won that game even if the defense didn't do something. It was a great game plan. It was a very good game plan for that game. On the road, starting a freshman quarterback for the first time, knowing that you don't want to overload him, knowing that you want to keep the passing game under control. It was a great game plan. I applaud Josh Gaddis for it.
Yeah, it might get ugly on Saturday, though.
It will not be enough at Clemson. I agree.
It's going to be ugly on Saturday, and with the whole Jake Garcia thing, right? I think this kid just took a massive blow in his confidence. His head is all, his head ain't right. His head isn't right, and I think it could be fixed. But if he decides to transfer, I think he'll be worse off if he transfers, because every team in the country had a chance to see what he could do, and he didn't have a good resume. So what is he going to do? Go to a team and have to fight for a starting spot behind probably an established quarterback or with another transfer quarterback that they bring in that might be better than him? if I'm Jake, I'm staying because where are you going to go? Where are you going?
I don't know, man. I don't know what he's going to do. I really don't.
What's he going to do? Go to one of those group of 5 schools, South Dakota State or something like that? Then yeah,
I think Rhett Lashley would take. I think Rhett Lashley would take him at SMU.
Yeah, but will he start? That's the point. Why go somewhere else and not start when you could just entrench yourself at Miami? You know, like you even said it yourself. Like Emory Williams isn't looking, like, hey, this is a guarantee. So if Emory Williams is not a guarantee, they have to go transfer portal quarterback. So stay. That's only if Tyler leaves. If Tyler leaves, then yeah. But if Tyler stays, you might as well stay because Peyton Matoka is going to be gone. So you, Jacory, and DVD fight it out, and maybe he could regain his confidence over the spring. And by the time fall camp comes, he looks like a different quarterback. But there's nowhere in the country he's going to go and start. It's just not going to happen. He might as well just buckle down, get himself a quarterback coach, like over the break, over the spring, whatever, winter break, spring, practice comes. Maybe he looks better or, like all these things could be worked on with like this team obviously needs a good sports psychologist to figure out why aren't the coaches getting through to these guys? Maybe they just don't like the coaches, or maybe it's something else. Like, who knows? But where's he going? Like Tyler could pretty much handpick. There's a line around the block at University of Miami if Tyler Van Dyke decides to go into the transfer portal. I'm talking about around the school.
Oh, there's no question.
He's going to have his pick.
That's why I'm laughing at some of these guys that are like, trashing on Tyler and thinking that we're better off, without Tyler. And are you freaking kidding me? Like, if that guy goes in the transfer portal, he's going to be one of the most in-demand guys in the portal, and he's going to get a 7-figure NIL deal.
He's going to get a huge NIL deal.
No doubt about it.
NIL deal. And you'd be surprised at the schools offering him a spot. Because literally every school would line up to offer him a spot.
There's not every, but a lot would. Yeah.
Well, a lot. Most of the schools. Like excluding those elite teams, like we've discussed in the past.
Yeah, you take that kid. You get the offensive line right. You pick up a few receivers in recruiting. Ray Joseph, Robbie Washington. You go find a couple more. You get 1 or 2 in the portal. You bring them back with Colby Young, and you've got Arroyo and Skinner and those 3 freshman tight ends coming in. You got some real talent now on offense. And Tyler Van Dyke, if he stays healthy, should be a superstar. Like,
right. That's only if you got to get at least 2, and you're going to have to pay for it. You're going to have to pay for this premium. You're going to have to get 2 wide receivers, 2 out of the transfer portals that you could just plop right in. They're the guaranteed starters. Yep. There isn't a wide receiver on the team better than these 2 guys.
No, but Restrepo's going to stay involved. Kobe Young's going to stay involved. I don't know if Jacoby George. I think they would like Jacoby George to stay. I think they feel. Huh?
Those guys don't scare anybody. They're not game.
No. But I think Jacoby George is good enough that he'll make the cut. Like, I don't think they'll run him out of the program.
Right.
But, I think they got to keep Ladson because
on the bubble.
You can't like jettison Ladson after bringing him here in the portal. I think he'll stick. But I think they'll get at least 1 or 2 in the portal. I would agree with that to supplement what they have and what they're bringing in.
Big one.
Yeah, well, that's what they're doing. Yeah, you got enough little guys. You don't need more little guys.
Right. You need a big, physically 6'2", big.
You need a number 1 dude.
Somebody that's going to.
You need a number 1 dude.
Somebody that's going to threaten the back half of the field. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt, man.
I don't know. I'm hoping Tyler stays. I'm hoping Jake stays.
Yeah, we'll see on Jake.
For Jake to go.
We'll see on both of them.
hoping
I've been hearing positive things about Tyler, so we'll see how that transpires. But I don't know if Jake will stay or not. I mean, I don't. I just. Huh?
Yeah, doesn't Ja'Cory Brown remind you of Lamar Jackson right out of high school?
No, Lamar Jackson was a better passer out of the gate. If you look at
I'm talking
Lamar
about
Jackson,
athleticism.
not as fast, but a very good athlete. Agreed. And Lamar Jackson, Lamar Jackson is so dynamic as an athlete that people kind of disregard how good he is as a passer also. And he was very good at Louisville. He was good at Louisville as a passer.
And remember, Louisville had the type of offense where he could fit. What's the coach's name?
Bobby Petrino. Bobby Petrino was the coach back then. Yeah, but you know what? If you look at the quarterback at Louisville now, that Malik Cunningham kid, if Ja'Cory could become a little bit of a better passer, I could see him being kind of like that kid. That kid was this. Right. He's not bad, that kid.
But look at the offense they run, similar to Bobby Petrino's offense. So Scott Satterfield, that wide open, quarterback emphasis offense. And if Ja'Cory stays there, I think that's the kind of offense he needs.
Maybe.
Let's see what happens. I don't think we're going to make the bowl game, which is probably better. Mario could just hit the recruiting trail and not have to worry about 15 practices.
That's the way I feel. I think they're better off focusing on recruiting in the month of December. But they would probably say those 15 practices are really good to develop young players. So I'm sure they want to go to a bowl game. They want to be able to bring kids out.
The 30 guys that's going to be left after.
Well, they want to be able to bring kids out to practice.
After the purge.
Right. So there's going to be a purge now. But they want to be able to bring kids out to practice and stuff. So, all right, BK, thanks for being part of the show, man. We'll talk to you next time. You got it. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. Hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's go now to the 985. You are live on CaneSport Live.
Mr. Gary Ferman, Swagger for life, man. What's going on?
What's up, Swagger? How you doing this week?
I'm good, man. Laying here listening to the show with my Josh Gaddis' great hat on, getting blistered for it.
That's the comment of the night.
I'm the only guy I think in Miami Hurricanes fandom that actually think that this guy has gotten scapegoated worse than anybody in college football history.
He probably is a little bit getting scapegoated, but he hasn't done the best job either. He's brought some of it on himself.
All right, let's get this out in the open, okay? Ja'Cory Brown, this past game against Georgia Tech, give Josh Gaddis a lot of credit. He gave that kid, he gave a true freshman quarterback in a situation on the road a packaged offense that he felt that the kid could thrive in, and the kid did. Absolutely 100%. A great job by Josh Gaddis putting that kid in a position with plays on the field and the package that kid was given to do what he did this past Saturday. It was a great moment for the Miami Hurricanes. It was a great moment for the team against what I think was a hapless Georgia Tech team. But that aside, doesn't matter. We needed that moment. This team needed that moment. Ja'Cory Brown is an athlete. No question. We need to figure out a way to get that kid on the field, whether it be, I don't care how it is, Wildcat, put him in the slot, run him reverses, whatever it is. He needs to be on the field more because, number one, we need him because of the lack of talent we have on the outside. And number two, that kid is dangerous with the ball in his hands on offense. End of story right there. Ja'Cory Brown as a quarterback, Ja'Cory Brown has all the ability and the potential in the world to become a star at the University of Miami. He has the charisma and the personality that I think these kids that this team responds to. One of the callers said that the team looked fired up to play. That might have had something to do with it. I mean, this kid somebody said on the board that he has it as far as that confidence that, you want to play for him, etc. Is he ready now to take the lead, as some of these fans are saying? Absolutely not. If Tyler Van Dyke is healthy going into Clemson, you start Tyler Van Dyke in a heartbeat. You mix in some Ja'Carry Brown, you give him some snaps. Maybe you get him maybe a series or something like that. But you figure out ways to use him to get him in the game to supplement your offense that badly needs another playmaker. What you do with Ja'Carry Brown is you take Ja'Carry Brown and you obviously you're going to let him compete next year, but in a perfect world, what you'd want to do is you'd want to redshirt him next year and get him ready to really take the reins for 2024 if TVD comes back. Okay? What I think happens regardless of if TVD comes back or not, is I think Mario Cristobal anyway goes into the portal, because I think Jake's gone. I think he's gone. Mario goes into the portal for another QB. And because the one thing that I argue all the time on the board with is the one thing that Mario wants more than a power spread offense is he wants competition on Green Tree. Okay? You said earlier that TVD is a victim of this season. I think Tyler Van Dyke is more of a victim of playing in a past offensive system that may be exploited a little bit. How do I want to say this? Again, the system was made for him. Josh Gaddis comes in with his pro-style system, and he struggles, okay? But that doesn't mean that TVD still isn't our best player at quarterback, given a chance to grow in the Josh Gaddis offense. Look, this whole thing about we need to change coaches, I'm so sick of hearing that. I'm tired of the fans with the coaching merry-go-round. If the fans had their way, we'd have a merry-go-round of coaches every freaking quarter. I'm sick of it. Josh Gaddis came in with a new system. People want to talk about they didn't have a plan for 10 games. They did have a plan for 10 games. Let's throw out the Southern Miss game. Let's throw out the Bethune-Cookman game. They had a plan going into Texas A&M. The plan sort of worked. The problem at Texas A&M was we made too many mistakes, and that's what lost us the game. We fumbled the ball. Tariq Stevenson fumbled the ball. Henry Parrish didn't drop the ball on a key third down. A few other plays in the game. Jalen Knighton makes a different cut. We score a touchdown. It's a different football game. That's what happened to Texas A&M. You come back at Middle Tennessee State, all of a sudden, as you say, a total structural failure at Middle Tennessee State. What happened was this. What they wanted to do on offense, okay, for lack of a better way of putting it, wore down this personnel so much that they had nothing left in the freaking tank at Middle Tennessee. And you saw it. Because this personnel, especially on the offensive line, like I keep screaming, was not built for a game-in, game-out power spread style that Mario Cristobal and Josh Gaddis want to implement. That's why after the Middle Tennessee State game, you saw them make an adjustment. And they started to go hurry up. They went back to the hurry up. Now they bounced back and forth in the next game. I can't remember who it was. They bounced back and forth, and they went back to the check with me's at times. But they put TVD back into his comfort zone with the hurry up offense. It was North Carolina on the next game. That is not what Mario and Gaddis want to run. What Mario and Gaddis want to run is more of a style of what they did with Ja'Carry Brown, but not as condensed. Okay?
Yeah.
Are you following me, Gary?
I'm with you, man. You haven't lost me. You haven't lost me yet.
Here it is. And here's what I'll ask the fans that want all these coaches fired after one freaking bad game. First of all, shut up. Sit down. Second of all, what is a Josh Gaddis, Mario Cristobal, and I believe this is an extension of Mario Cristobal, the offense. What is an offense going to look like with Inez Cooper with a second year, with Francis Mauigoa anchoring the line, with a Samson Okanola, 6'6", 275 pounds, with a Trevante Citizen, 6'2", 225-pound back there, versus a 5'11", 180-pound Henry Parrish? What is it going to look like then when the offensive line is manhandling people up front and giving TVD time? I mean, TVD, there's a couple of times, in the style they're trying to run, is running for his life during the year. Can't remember the games, but they were there. And that's because the team was built for a system that doesn't match what Gaddis and Cristobal want to run. And that is what's giving Mario Cristobal fits and driving him crazy, because the man was a two-time national champion offensive lineman at the University of Miami. How do you think Mario Cristobal feels when he walks into that film room on Saturday and he sees Justice Oluwaseun and John Campbell getting blown up in the, like we all see? It's got to be driving him mad. So all these people, and maybe so, Gary, maybe Josh Gaddis, it's some of his fault because they didn't make the adjustment or whatever. But when Josh Gaddis walks into this was the story, walks into the locker room and says, you guys really have a problem. And Mario defends him by saying, you got to tell these guys the truth. And we're going to see it. On comes the purge. It's the purge because these guys cannot run the system that Mario and Gaddis want to run. And one more thing. Maybe I'm wrong. And Mario doesn't like Josh Gaddis. And Josh Gaddis gets fired at the end of the year. To every Miami Hurricane football fan out there, if you really believe Mario Cristobal, the former offensive lineman, is going to bring in an offensive coordinator that's going to throw the ball 60 times a game, you are insane. You are nuts. Because that is not championship football. Period. Mario Cristobal will bring in a similar type of offensive coordinator to what Gaddis is, with maybe a quirk here and there. Because Mario Cristobal believes that championship football on offense is best with balance. There you go.
All right, man. Well, I hope you got some believers out there. You certainly make some convincing points, and you certainly deliver it with passion.
Look, I'm so sick of hearing about we need to change coaches. I am sick to death of fire the coaches. Take Kevin Steele. What's a Kevin Steele defense going to look like with a real freaking middle linebacker and Corey Flagg out of there? What's a Kevin Steele secondary going to look like when DJ Ivey and Corey Couch are finally gone? I'm so sick of watching Corey Couch bounce off a running back. Yeah, he makes a play here and there, but they drag him 3 and 4 yards. Corey Flagg, the kid plays with a ton of heart. They ain't good enough. Gilbert Frierson just left. Yeah, he loves Miami. He's a Miami fan. He's not Miami material. He's just not at all, period. Mario, it's what Mario says. You got to tell these kids the truth. And that's what he means when he comes out in his press conferences and he says, we got to talk about the truth. That's why you're seeing parents up in arms and getting frustrated. Because I don't know this, but probably behind the scenes, there's a lot of hard conversations going on right now. And that's why you're going to see 30 to 35 player turnover come this off season. I got one question for you, Gary, and I'll let you go. You keep talking about in the recruiting, buckle up. Do you come December? Do you and Shodell know some stuff we don't know? Maybe that's out there.
I know that there's going to be a lot of movement, and a lot of teams are making promises. I think that they're not going to be able to fulfill. I think there's going to be decommitments. I think there's going to be new commitments. I think there's going to be a lot of flips. I mean, I think it's going to be a little bit of everything. And it's going to be the craziest 3 weeks maybe we've ever seen in history in recruiting.
Do you think that, this is one for you, do you think that the collective in Miami / Ruiz, do you think they can, let's say, back up what they're doing?
I haven't seen any signs that they can't and that they won't. I mean, he's done everything he said, and you know, he's told me he's increasing the budget from $10 million to $15 million. I mean, I haven't seen any signs that he's not. You know, I mean, some people are talking about his earnings, MSP's earnings, and I haven't looked at them or whatever and suggesting they were disappointing or whatever. But I don't know.
I mean, but that's a new brand he's trying to launch. Anybody who's tried to launch a new brand, you don't look at, I mean, come on, that's a 2 to 4 year process minimum. I mean, that's a whole other conversation. But I just, you say buckle up in recruiting come December, because I believe you. I think there's going to be insane. I mean, even prominent starters at certain positions at certain schools are going to consider moving. I mean, I'll give you one because I'm over here. Jaden Daniels. I mean, look, the offers that are getting put out, are going to turn heads.
Yep.
I think you're right. It's going to be insane.
It's going to be insane. Every player in college football is a free agent. Plus, you have regular recruiting. Plus, you got regular recruiting. I mean, it's going to be absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. Look, I think we're headed. I think we're headed for a very exciting time. I can't wait to see the 2023 Hurricanes, which I believe, to me, 2023 is going to be ground floor Mario. To me, I think I'll say it again. I think at the beginning of the year, and you probably disagree with me, I think they got blindsided a little bit by they thought they could come in and instill a mentality right away, and it didn't take. And I think they had to scramble. I think they had to scramble a little bit, and now they know what they've got to do and are kind of reorganizing. I think they got blindsided a little bit, but that's my opinion. So.
All right, man. Well, thank you for the call. Great one. Give us a call next week.
Appreciate it, Gary.
Yep. Give us a call next week. Thank you. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. Hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's go to the 845. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Yeah, Gary, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, Greg? How you doing, man?
All right. I missed the beginning of the show. I want to talk about Ja'Cory Brown. Everybody's knocking this guy that he can't pass. How was Jalen Hurts when he was a freshman at Alabama? Was he a good passer?
I can't. I don't know. I didn't see him.
No, he wasn't. Was Jordan Travis a good quarterback when he was a freshman?
Not great, no. I would say maybe further along as a passer right now, but no, he like any other freshman. They got,
Okay. Everyone talks very highly about this kid Anthony Richardson up at Florida, projected to go in the first round. He has 11 touchdowns and 7 interceptions this year, and he's throwing 55%. Is that a good passer? No, I don't think so. But he's a hell of a runner. Ja'Cory Brown is a hell of a runner. You need a mobile quarterback in college football. Look at all the best teams in the country. Their quarterbacks are not stationary like Tyler. I mean, I like Tyler Van Dyke. Jake Garcia is a joke. All right, he cannot play. Who has more poise on the field, Ja'Cory Brown or Jake Garcia?
I mean, on face value, based on last week, you're saying Ja'Cory Brown. I don't know that it's fair. I mean, you're going to be down on Jake. He played horrible when he was in the game. the offense was too much for him. He you know, it was mental. It wasn't that he can't throw the ball. It's not that he's not a good quarterback. It's that when he had to go execute the offense, he couldn't do it. He was a turnover machine. He was processing everything so slow that's why he was getting all the strip sacks, because the ball wasn't getting out on time.
Right, exactly.
And then he's throwing interceptions on top of it. I mean, he had a couple of interceptions that were flat ugly, man. And I was stunned. I'll tell you, Greg, I was shocked. I had never seen anything like that on the practice field. I've asked the coaches, did you guys ever see anything like this on the practice field? They're like, no. Like, everybody in the program was just absolutely stunned at how much he struggled. So if you're talking about what did it look like in July and August, and I mean, Jake was ahead of Jakuri. It wasn't even a conversation. Just like it wasn't a conversation that Tyler was ahead of Jake. I mean, there was clear separation with the quarterbacks. It wasn't even a debatable subject.
Well, okay. The last 3 times we played Clemson, you know what the score is total? 138-20. We have 2 touchdowns against Clemson in the last 3 games. 1 on a blocked field goal. Okay? I mean, is this going to be another 50-0 game this week, Gary?
Depends. It depends what kind of offense that they can bring to the stadium. If it's the Georgia Tech offense, I do believe they will get blown out, because Clemson's not going to allow that without any threat of a downfield passing attack. They're not going to allow those runs, and they're not going to they're going to blow up the bubble screens and all that stuff. Like, I don't know, man. We'll see. But if they can run a different offense and Tyler can go and they can, spread the ball around a little better and do some different things and maybe mix in some Jakari and I don't know, man. But I mean, obviously they're 20-point underdogs, and if they were 30-point underdogs, I don't think anybody would blink.
Okay, Notre Dame blew out Clemson this year with 85 yards passing. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Clemson has had Syracuse almost beat Clemson this year at Clemson. How come we can't come close to Clemson, but other teams can play them fairly tight? Let's
see what happens. Let's see what happens. Maybe they can come up with something.
One last point about Mario. Don't you think it's possible he needs to back off a little maybe he's a little too tough on these coaches and the players, getting them there at 5.
Greg, if you're looking at this year as a standalone, I would say maybe you could make that argument. Mario's not looking at this year as a standalone. Mario's looking at this year on establishing a culture that he wants to last into eternity here. And he is not blindsided by the way they've struggled this year. He's not the least bit fazed by it. He sees this as a necessary part of what had to take place here to move forward from this place. And it's been hard. It's been frustrating. But I know he feels like he knows what he's doing. And did he overbake it for this particular group of kids and stuff? And maybe overbake it for a staff that was all coming together for the first time from all different places that had never worked together? Yeah, he probably did overbake it, no doubt. There were times where maybe it was too much. But he would argue that I don't care. I am establishing something here to have permanence and to stand the test of time, to take Miami football into the next 10, 15, 20 years. And, that's what you hired him for. That's why he's here. So, I don't know, Greg. I think it just depends how you look at that.
Okay, my last thing, I'm going to predict right now. Gaddis Steele and Adai are not going to be here next year. That's my prediction. We'll see what happens. All right. Thank you.
All right, Greg. Thank you as always, man, for being part of the show. Yep. 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. Hit 1 on your keypad if you're going to come on the show. Let's go to the 757. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Well, man, I ain't called last week, and I'm pissed off because my Hoyas lost tonight, so I'm still not happy.
Kane, your best friend called earlier, man. Your best friend called earlier.
Yeah.
I asked him, I said, how do you, Kane comes on this show, he talks 180 miles an hour. I just sit here and laugh, and, he's your best friend. Does he talk slowly when you're on the phone with him?
Yeah, I talk slow. I'm going to talk slow right now. I'm going to be real slow. The player of the year on defense is my boy Cam. Cam all day. You still be killing him about that 2 bad plays out of the 25 games he done played.
Wait. Yes,
No.
Wait. What about what I said before the season? Do I ever get any credit from you, Kane?
No season enough, man. I'm talking about what you be saying. Every week now, you always got these 2 damn things to say. He had them 2 bad plays. But when Tyler Van Dyke played like shit, well, you got to give him a break. I ain't giving him nothing. TVD gets no break. No break.
I think Cam is every bit as good as you think he is. Kane, I think Cam's as good as you think he is. I said it in August.
Okay, we're going to let it go. Now you want to be Mr. Nice Guy. That's fine. Okay, forget about the season. If you really want to make anybody play, you can't because the offensive line is trash. Trash. Forget all the players y'all talking about we might lose. But here's the thing I got with that. If you lose 30 players, what the hell you going to be like next year? You just going to get a whole bunch of superstars to come in? Because look what happened to Michigan State. Portal battle last year. They dominated. Where the hell is Michigan State at this year? Okay, that's what I thought.
If you lose 30, wait a minute. Kane, if you lose 30, okay, and you add the 9 graduates, that's a total of 39 kids you can bring in the program. Let's say you take 25 to 27 high school kids and 10 to 12 transfers. That's what you're talking about. Okay, so we're supposed to be much better next year. Fuck that. We don't get that O-line right. You can put your mama, my great-grandmama, my cousin, my uncle, anybody. If the O-line don't get fixed, we ain't going to be ish. Period. I don't care about all the receivers. They can't get over. Well, hell, I can't get over neither. If your backside, the quarterback got to run, or the quarterback getting hit, it starts up front. Just like on defense. The defense, it starts with the trenches. The offense starts up front. If you can't block, you can't do nothing. Whoever the quarterback is. So with that being said, since Mario is the guru, let's get that O-line. I don't give a damn. They go. See, the problem, everybody likes stars. Go to Wisconsin. Go get one of them big country-fed boys that's 6'6". I don't care if he's a 1-2 star, strong as an ox. We need monsters. These Florida boys really ain't offensive line material. They're athletes. You get a couple here and there. You know that. You want them hog-born boys, you got to go down country, Wisconsin, even sneak in Alabama, Michigan. You got to get big boys for the ground game that they want to run, like everybody says. They want to be pound, and now you can't do that with Miami boys. Miami boys are athletes, skilled players. That's it, simple and plain. So give everybody a pass. The whole offense get a pass. TVD, you get a pass. Jay, you do look like trash, but you get a pass. Because you looked good last week. Oh, everybody want to crown him. You can't crown nobody, but he looked good, and he deserves his prop. And if he go out here with a beat Clemson, oh, boy, y'all really going to be on your heels then. But like I said, you can't judge the offense. You can't judge the receivers. You can't judge nothing. Hey, one more question. Is my man Shannon going to play this week? I've been waiting for Don for so long. Is Don going to get any carries, or is he able to play? I know they said he's practicing. Does that mean he might get a couple carries or not? How about Don Chaney?
Yeah, will Chaney get any birds?
There's a chance he will get in the game, yes.
Okay, well, with that being said, hey, man, the season's over. Yeah, I'm with y'all. Damn the 15 extra practices. And, do what y'all got to do. Drink, rum, coke, get high, whatever. It's over. Season done. All my predictions fell through. Now it's time for me to watch my Hoyas play. So with that, 305 ride or die. No more Cane football for me. I watch the games, but can't make the Pittsburgh game because that's Thanksgiving weekend and Costco won't let me off. With that, see you next week, buddy. Hey, Charles. Kane, Meister Kane, and everybody, one love. Stay strong. We'll be back. Peace.
All right, Kane. Thank you as always, man. Love his call every week. 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's go to 786. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, Gary, how you doing, buddy?
Who's this?
This is Dex Mill. I talked to you a while back.
All right.
The last time, long time listener. The last time we talked, though, we were talking about the coaching hire. It was during that time.
Okay.
And, of course, we know you love Mario. I love Mario. But, Gary, man, it's the same old thing that we used to talk about back when, who was the last coach? When Manny was here, and even back when Mark Rick was here, when I would call in on your show, and you would always be saying this. And I would always tell you, Gary, it's the coaching. And when I say coaching, Gary, I don't mean it's the coaching that in saying that we have enough talent to win a national championship. Obviously, we don't. But we have way more talent than the record shows on the field. According to all of the measurements that measure the talent on the roster, and you can't have it both. We can't have it both ways. The talent says that we should be beating all of these teams except Clemson, except I don't know, maybe one other team on the schedule, right? Texas A&M, I think it was, right? As a matter of fact, speaking of Texas A&M, that's a great example. That's an example of it's not talent, it's coaching. Texas A&M is flooded with 5-stars all over the field, but they're getting their ass handed to them week in and week out because they don't have the coaching. And it's the same thing that's been going on here at Miami. I hope Mario gets it done. We're invested. The school's committed to him for 10 years. The one thing that I do like about the Mario hire is that Mario was able to get the school and the support to open up the purses. And that makes a hell of a difference in this world of college football nowadays. I don't know if another candidate or another person, if we would have brought in, could have got the boosters in the school to open up the purse the way they have for Mario. But even with that being said, there's no first year players. He's 7-3. It's not the players, it's the coaching. And like I said, I know you love Mario, man, but I hope he ends up being the right guy. But I tell you, the guy that I told you would have been the right guy is the right guy, and that was Lane Kiffin. And you kind of scoffed at it, and so forth and so on. And I kept telling you, Lane Kiffin. And all I'll say about Lane, Gary, look at what he's doing 2 years in a row at Ole Miss with less money, less talent, less everything, and he is kicking ass. Kicks Jimbo's ass, almost beat Saban. What is he, 8-2 right now? Yeah, he's 8-2 in the SEC West 2 years in a row. Not a fluke. That guy can. What did he do at FAU? First year, 11-4. The year before that, with the other guy, I forget the other guy's name. Was it Taggart? Well, the year before that, FAU was 5-7, I believe. First year, Lane gets there 11-4. Anyway, I'll hang up a list. Well, keep me on. I just want to listen.
All right, man. Thank you for being part of the show. All right, guys, we got a wide open board, so I'm going to put out a last call for calls tonight, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. If you want to come on the show, you hit the 1 on your keypad. Let me take a look at the questions and comments that were submitted at CaneSport.com for tonight's show and get into those a little bit. Pros and cons of Josh Gaddis remaining as the offensive coordinator in 2023. I would say the pros would be just continuity, continuing to build, but honestly, there's not a ton to build on. And to me, the biggest issue is I don't feel there was a connection between Josh Gaddis and the players. And we've heard a lot of things on that in that regard, whether they're true or not true. I think he's lost the support of the fan base, which is a tough thing to overcome. If I had to make a bet right now, it would be that we would see a change there. But I do not know that definitively. And I don't know anybody that does. So we'll see what happens here. down the stretch. But it's been a rocky year for sure for Josh Gaddis. Biggest potential shock to hit the transfer portal this offseason. Someone unexpected. I mean, I guess Jake Garcia would no longer qualify in that regard. Trying to think if one of the running backs, I mean, Knighton he had a good game last week. Chaney's just coming back from injury. Parrish will be back. I could see Thad Franklin going to the portal amongst the running backs, the receivers. Anything goes. Maybe if Jacoby George goes to the portal. O-line, all those guys that aren't playing will be in the portal. Same thing on D-line, linebackers. I think anybody that's not a starter right now is a portal candidate. I think you got to look at some of those young DBs. There's a lot of them that weren't worthy of getting on the field this year. Some of them go in the portal. So we'll see what happens. I think there'll be 25 guys in the portal. Matt thinks there'll be 30. We'll see. And we'll start getting into specifics. He and I have started spending some time on that. So once the season's over, we'll start getting into specifics on that. Gabriel T. wants to know, why is Corey Couch still on the team? Well, it's not December 5th yet. I would think that Corey could end up being a candidate for the portal potentially. Maybe he would classify as the surprise of surprise since he plays a lot. I don't know. We'll see. I talked about some of the recruiting stuff earlier in the show, so if you missed that, you can pick that up on the podcast. Let's see. MSK Fish is saying, if it's true that Gaddis is not well liked by the current players, how's that going to impact future offensive guys? I don't think it is. I think that situation is going to work itself out long before we get to future offensive guys. Would a win against Clemson erase the nightmare of the season? You better believe it. That absolutely would erase a lot of the nightmare, and it would set them up for a chance to go win 7 and maybe win a bowl game and get to 8 wins. And that's what you got to try for if you're Mario, and I think that they are all in right now on trying to make that happen. But I get that some teams have given Clemson a hard time this year, and maybe they're not as dominant as the old Clemson, but they do have a better roster right now than Miami, and it's going to be a tall order to be competitive in that game. The coordinators are going to have to do a heck of a job this week. And in talking to Kevin Steele earlier in the week, he is not intimidated at all by that challenge. In fact, he was remembering a time he went to Clemson and he held them to 17 points. So he'll be trying to do the same again this time around. Will the staff pursue another quarterback for this class? Yes, I think they will fish around and see who might be interested. Like I've said, I think the kids that are committed to other schools are going to be on the table. I think there's going to be a lot of movement in December. So, yeah, I could see Miami fishing around out there for a quarterback that might be committed somewhere else right now and might want to switch that commitment. So we'll see how that goes. Jay Collette wants to know, are we confident that the guys going to the portal are going to be replaced by quality transfers? You're not going to hit on every single one of them. They didn't hit on every single one of them this year. But there will be quality guys in the portal to choose from. I don't think there's any question about that. And I think they did a decent job, and Miami in general has done a good job in the portal. And I think Miami is an appealing transfer destination. We see how effective it's been in basketball. So, yeah, I think they can find good players in the portal. I'm expecting them to take at least a dozen or so of them, and we'll see what becomes available. But, I feel good about Miami's position in the portal all the time. Let's see. I'm just very quickly looking at some of these leftover questions here, and I think we've pretty much covered most of them. So take a look at the queue. We'll see if any calls have come in here. They have not. So that is going to do it for CaneSport Live tonight. I thank everybody who listened for listening. I thank all the callers for calling in. I thought we had a good night of calls this week, so I applaud everybody. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, the Lamar Thomas Show. We'll have that. I don't know yet who the guests are, but it's been a great show all year. I encourage everybody to listen to that. Good Morning CaneSport. We'll hit you with that in the morning and move on from there. So thank you once again, and we'll see you next time, everybody.